And this is where, Swamiji's purpose of education comes to life. There was a generation in this country that got us freedom. Mahatma Gandhi, Pandit Nehru, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, B.R. Ambedkar. And you look at their journey. They were all inspired by teachings of Swami Vivekananda. Many of you know what they said. You look at what they did in their individual lives. As young students, many times we forget or we are never told what Mahatma Gandhi was doing when he was at our age, what Patel was doing when he was in his teens and 20s, what Ambedkar or Nehru were doing when they were at your age. Mahatma Gandhi was studying at a place called University College in London. B.R. Ambedkar went on a scholarship to study at Columbia University. Sardar Patel went to Middle Temple College in the UK, and Nehru studied at Cambridge. They used their education to open their perspectives and worldview. They used their education to get the skills of reading, writing, arithmetic, critical thinking, research, whatever it may be. Then all of them, each one of them, traveled the length and breadth of this country, communicated with people, understood what fundamentally lied at the soul of India. And in this journey, each one of them comments on Swamiji and how his journeys, his experiences, his message had built a foundational impact in their journey to, nationhood for India one more time. And for that reason, it is important to learn from that generation. It was not, when we talk about Gandhi, we are reminded of a walking stick. When we talk about Nehru, we are reminded of a rose that he would carry. When we talk about B.R. Ambedkar, we think it was a poor kid who gave to the country a constitution. When we think about Sardar Patel, we think about iron. We need to think about that fundamental journey of Siksha, Seva and Samvad. That Samvad that needs to happen with the neighbor, with people down the street, with people who we meet in airplanes and trains and buses. That Samvad is important. As young people, talk. Talk to your grandmother. Talk to your neighbors. Talk to staff. Talk to drivers. Talk to people who you meet. They will give you experiences and stories that will be fundamental and foundational in thinking deeper, gaining more insights. Then Seva. That has to be the goal of your education. Swamiji talks about dasasya dasa, servant leaders. This is who these people went on to be. Trust me, that generation of people at University College London had a lot of people, and it had one Mahatma Gandhi. That generation at Middle Temple had a lot of people, and it had one Sardar Patel. That generation of students at Columbia had a lot of people, and yet one Ambedkar. The difference is their education was for a larger purpose than just pay packages. Their education was something for a larger purpose than just research papers. They were inspired by the call of a patriot monk. They were inspired by that call for freedom, that goal of nation building. And that is what each generation needs to do. That generation got us freedom, and we consider them important. When we got independence, then that generation of nation builders, servant leaders comes into play again. A young student returns from University of Cambridge in 1948 and meets with the Prime Minister of India and says that India can also build a space program. That space should not be the frontier only of Soviet Russia or the United States. And one young Vikram Sarabhai builds India's space program to this degree that for an amount that Hollywood makes movies on space, we launch space shuttles in space for an amount 1/4 of that price, 1/4 of that cost. When we look at people like Verghese Kurian and Tribhuvan Das Patel, in 1948, in our country, I know it is unimaginable for many of us, but in 1948 we did not have enough milk to feed our growing population. And yet a young man returns from Michigan State University, goes to the sleepy town of Anand in Gujarat, meets with a gentleman named Tribhuvan Das Patel, and they get to work. Amul is founded in Gujarat, and in 1998, India becomes the largest producer of milk in the world, overtaking the same United States that Verghese Kurian left and returned from. That was the vision and purpose of Tribhuvan Das Patel and Verghese Kurian. In our country, when Swamiji says education alone is the solution to our problems, in one part of our country, a fisherman who was a true patriot raises a child in his family amidst poverty, but gives to him the values that would take that person forward from being a young student Kalam to Dr. Kalam, to President Kalam, and give us not just internal security from ISRO and DRDO, but a high moral standard of statesmanship from Rashtrapati Bhavan at Raisina Hills. This is what foundational role our education must play in our nation building. This is the foundational role that education must play in ensuring that the English you know should be useful for somebody. The mathematical equations you work on should lift more people up. The scientific calculations and reactions that you've been taught shall make lives better for people who are living in misery or in poverty or in ignorance. And that is Swamiji's work that we must do in our times. Everything that we know, we must put it to use. And that is why at Dexterity, we've given a very simple definition of leadership to our young people. We say leadership is your ability to deliver value through whatever limited expertise you have. That means you don't need to become the Prime Minister or the President, the director of a program or the collector of a district in order to become a leader. You can be a leader if whatever you know, you put it to use. That essentially means a 5-year-old child in a family who helps a 2-year-old child or a 3-year-old child walk, that child is a leader. Because a 5-year-old child knows only how to walk and is helping somebody who does not know how to walk with him or with her. That child is a leader. A 15-year-old child somewhere in our country who does not know, a lot of math or science but knows decent Telugu or English or Hindi and helps an old grandmother write a letter to get a widow pension card. That child is a leader because the ability is writing and that child is putting that writing to use for somebody who needs it. These are children who, if they grow up with these values, who, if they grow up with this message, if they make Swamiji's call their call, if they hope to lift this country up through their lives, their education and their service. These are kids who at 5 who are helping others walk, who at 15 are writing a letter for somebody else, at 30 and 45 and 60 and even 90, they will be lamps that will illumine more lives. They will be people who lift more people up. And that is the reason why the idea of education does not need to come from career counselors. It does not need to come from, some other part of the world or a quotation put somewhere. It needs to come from within. That connection we feel with our great nation. And if we want to feel that connection, I know not all of us can, be in the palace of Khetri one day and in Belagavi the other day and, in Gujarat the other day as Swamiji could in 39 years. He could write, he could lecture, he could travel, he could lift more people up, he could change lives, he could do all of that in 39 years. Now if everybody started doing that, it would be a huge pressure on, our airlines and railway companies and trains and everyone. So what can we do? In 39 years, Swamiji has given his life to us, his message to us, and his call to us. We can read Swami Vivekananda. And our understanding of education, our understanding of ourselves, our understanding of that purpose in life will become clearer. Our convictions will become deeper. And in those moments when because of challenges we might feel bogged down, our faith in ourselves will become stronger when we have faith in Swamiji. When we have faith in Sri Ramakrishna Dev, in Holy Mother, when we have that deep faith, our deep sympathy for the society will increase because it is only the strong who can hope to give and lift more people up. If you feel you are weak, your chances of lifting somebody who's weak goes down. You'll make that person also feel weaker. If you think you are in misery, you'll make somebody else feel more miserable as well. So you have to have that fiery faith as Swamiji talks about it. Fiery sympathy as Swamiji talks about it. Let's have that fiery faith in ourselves, that faith in our education, that faith in our abilities, so that just like a generation that inspired by Swami Vivekananda walked us to freedom, a generation right around freedom walked us to a strong space program, a green revolution for grains, a white revolution for milk production. Just like that, we need a new generation of servant leaders, a generation that will lift more people up, through its education in medicine and engineering, through its work in journalism and writing, through its work in art and culture, through its work every day in the society, as a son or a daughter, as a husband or a wife, as a citizen somewhere in some part of our country. Let Swamiji's call be your call. May Swamiji bless us all. Thank you very much. My pranam.